That's after the roll call.
Meeting is officially started whenever you're ready, okay?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Thursday, that's not Thursday, March 17th. Okay. The Thursday, April 7th, 2022 regular meeting of the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission to order. In attendance, regular member Nowak, Sienna, Mace, and I'm acting chair Galdenzi. First order of business, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So next order of business, we're going to try to do some minutes. Maybe we start with the March 3rd minutes. And at that, do we have the March 3rd in there?
You should have gotten it earlier. Here's my version if you want. Okay.
I have in my packet.
No, you can take my version just to prove it. They tabled it last time because you weren't here, so.
Yeah, okay. So the March 3rd, so we had myself, Trish, and Ron. No. We can't do it. Bob and Ron were.
We don't need everybody present.
Oh, okay.
You don't need the insiders, okay? As long
We
as,
used to, yeah, okay.
okay?
Yep, good.
I
Okay.
make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of March 3rd, 2022.
Second. Right, you guys have to abstain?
If we're going to have some abstain, can we even second it?
You can vote 2-0. It'll be, as long as there's a quorum
Yeah.
for the meeting, you can vote 2-0 on the minutes. It'll be
Yeah.
considered approved,
Yep.
okay?
So I second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. The minutes of the March 3rd meeting, 2022.
Okay. Do you have the 17th
Passes.
minutes?
So now we will move, to the 17th. So Bob, Trish, and Ron, you guys, I'll give you a minute. Gesture or let me know when you guys are ready. I have to abstain.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from March 17th, 2022.
Second by Sienna. All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain, so 3-0 with one abstention. So the March 17th minutes pass. And we're just, we actually have to vote on these two?
They're
Yeah,
minutes.
okay, yeah, good. Yep,
So,
that's right, we had minutes. Okay, so next is that special session between Economic Development Committee and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And myself, Bob, and Chuck were there. So Chuck's not here tonight, so it's Bob and I. I've seen these, so I'm ready, so.
Right. I make a motion to accept the March 24th, 2022 minutes of planning, zoning, and economic development.
I second. All in favor?
Abstain. I wasn't there, I have to abstain.
Yep. So those pass as well, 2-0, 2 abstentions. Okay, so next order of business, under new business, is application 2022-3, 1536 Middletown Avenue, R40 zone, site plan modification of P&Z application 2012/13-8, as amended on November 4th, 2021.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Christopher Giuliano. I'm a licensed land surveyor and professional engineer with the firm Giuliano Associates. I maintain an office at 405 Main Street in Yalesville. Here tonight representing Rose Bianca Vineyards with respect to a site plan modification. As the commission will remember, back in November, I believe it was, we got our final approval with respect to the overall site plan for a new winery, production and customer area up on top of the hill. Since that time, there's been a number of worldwide things that have happened. But basically, what we're here tonight to do, or ask for permission, is Mr. Rosbianco would like to be able to construct a portion of his building, basically the manufacturing area of his business building, which is the northern basement area, so that he can move his production up there, get a CO, and ramp up his production while the rest of his site work continues. Under normal conditions, with a 5-year permit, Mr. Rosbianco probably wouldn't get his CO for 5 years. So it's 5 years of him not being able to ramp up production, make more wine, and help defer some of the costs from the overall construction. This way, within a year or so, that basement portion will be constructed. There'll be a temporary roof on top. The production that happens in the little barn right here will move up to the hill. Only Rosbianca employees will be able to go up there, so no customers whatsoever. Deliveries will stay down here. And let's say between 12 and 18 months, he'll have his production ramped up, making more wine, deferring some of the construction costs so that the rest of the construction can continue. So it all comes down to being able to get a CO for a portion of the building quicker and not have to wait the full 5 years for the whole thing to be constructed. The idea is not to build it and then not continue. It's just an interim phase, all based around obtaining a certificate of occupancy sooner rather than later. I did meet with staff, or actually Mr. Rosbianca and I met with staff a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we had some comments from the engineering department, the plans that you have in front of you, address those plans. And I believe there was a letter either from the town planner or the town engineer stating that we did address the comments satisfactorily. So, without any further ado, I'll give it back to the commission if there are any questions that I could answer.
I got one. First of all, can you get a little closer? It's awfully light and I can't find the right spot for bifocals.
How was that? Help? Okay. I'll give the board a luck.
No, that's fine. You're not going to abandon the bottom plane, correct?
No, no.
Not at all. And when we say temporary, is temporary 5 years? The
Temporary roof.
yeah, the temporary roof.
Well, temporary roof, because this is the basement of the overall building. For him to be able to get a certificate of occupancy, it has to be enclosed, weathertight, power,
Right.
sewer, and everything else. So the temporary roof could last 5 years. However, with the whole goal of trying to construct this within 5 years, that may only be on there 2 years, 2.5 years. But again, it's temporary because it's going to come off. But not temporary because it still has to handle wind loads, snow loads. It's basically a roof that they're going to pull off when they go vertical for the rest of the building.
What's going there in the final long-range plan? What is that building? Say production in the basement and
So this is the production on the lower level. The southerly side, which is again 50 by 100, will be what's called the cave, where they're going to store the wine for aging and everything else. And then you'll have 2 stories above this, which will be actually for customers.
okay, so that's the temporary production's in there,
Yep.
but it's in the basement.
It is
temporary structure, just enough to make it, as you mentioned,
Well, basically,
weather tight
Yeah.
and a roof, and
Basically.
then that'll come off, and then you go up with
Yes.
what you just
so
described.
the construction for the manufacturing section is going to be just like we're going to go vertical from day one, but But instead of putting the other 2 stories on, we're putting the temporary roof on.
Because it's a visual thing. It's just that rectangle looks the same as the rectangle on the left. On this lower one,
Yeah.
not the right, but you keep gesturing to the right.
It is the one on the right, and the reason why that is because we're calling it the second floor deck.
It's just, yep,
They
that's
are
exactly
both
why.
the same size,
It's just, yep, it's,
the way they're offset, and we have a little bit
Gotcha.
more description for the finished product.
understand, yeah. So so that road will not be in place. It's just a gravel farm road just to get between the two facilities.
Yep, just so Mr. Rosbianco can bring his forklift and his pickup up there and move what he needs to move up to the manufacturing area. No trucks will go up that way at all, and definitely no customs.
The exterior of the building, just exposed foundations.
Well, it's gonna be concrete, but it'll be backfilled, just like normal. So it's gonna be cut into the hill.
Gotcha.
So once they expose, so they can actually pour the foundation walls and waterproof it, they backfill it. So really the only thing exposed at all will probably be the front and maybe a little bit on the sides, and that's it.
Okay.
It looks like it's really just cut into the
I
hill.
wasn't sure if based on the contours, it looked like the foundation going to be sticking out of the ground. Well, it's gonna be
In the
out there, I was
ground.
going to say.
Definitely in the ground.
Yeah, because of the.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Any staff referrals required, or
It
did
went to
did
Victor.
Victor, yeah.
Victor did produce a memo on March 30th, and he asked that some changes to that gravel road be done so that it would be a bit more stabilized and drain better. They came back the next day with revised plans, and Victor gave me an email on Thursday, March 31st, saying the Phase 1 plan revised to 3/31/22 has been adequately revised by Mr. Giuliano to address my comments dated March 30th, 2022. The engineering department has no additional comments on the site plan modification.
Does anything need to go to the fire department?
No, it's just a gravel road at this point in time, so,
Or even in terms of like the building, do they need to sign off on that part of
well,
the building? Or is that part of the process?
it was, well, the original approval was for this foundation, so it's the identical foundation that they approved before. There's no,
I think just, I was gonna say, that's a good question. I mean, if it was an assembly, if you were putting people in an assembly area, you'd have all sorts of kind of fire code restrictions that you'd have to do. But I mean, it's a good question because they're going to be occupied for
No.
production. So
Yeah.
you have to at least, basic egress and maybe emergency lighting. I mean, if it's nighttime or just daytime, I mean,
Basically,
some basic things.
correct.
Patricia's
And
point.
just 'cause you have-
Certainly not in an assembly area. You're not putting hundreds of people in there.
As far as operations, yes, daytime is when Mr. Rosbianco basically
Yeah.
manufactures the line anyway, and it will have to be completed to code to get a certificate on it. So there will be.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. if
Yeah,
it's
so
part of
that's
the
what I
process.
mean.
Because if it was, okay, now it's one thing, and there's one overview from fire department, now if it's 2 phases, it should be 2 overviews, just
Yeah.
cut off of common sense. But if that's part of the certificate of operation anyway, then
Yep.
that's
Exactly.
that.
Yep. Questions, Commissioner? Comments?
I'm good with it. Okay.
did do a draft motion at some point, if you guys are interested.
Yeah, no other comments, questions? Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, please. Yep. Trish? What'd you say? I heard what you said.
The planning and zoning application is 2022-3, site plan modification request for application PZ. Hashtag 2012/2013-8, as amended November 4th, 2021. New modification creates a phase 1, which will limit the use of the proposed building to manufacturing using a temporary roof and uses a temporary gravel farm pad from the existing parking area to the manufacturing site. Phase 2 would reflect the plans approved on November 4th, 2021. We're all having trouble. Application for a property located at 1536 Middletown Avenue, Assessor Map 67B, Lot 70, Zone R40, owner Rosa Bianca Enterprises, LLC, applicant Charlie Rosa Bianca, as contained in submitted application documents and shown on plans entitled Phase 1, Rosa Bianca Winery, 1536 Middletown Avenue, Norfolk, Connecticut, prepared by Giuliano Associates, Engineers and Surveyors, containing the following sheets. Sheets 1 of 1. The modification request is consistent with the recommendation in the Plan of Conservation and Development to support agricultural and tourism as a component of a diverse town economy. With the standard and special conditions referenced in the February 21st, 2013 site plan, approved by North Branford Planning and Zoning, as well as those approved on November 4th, 2021, and the following special conditions. 22, adherence to the requirements of the town manager and his memorandum dated March 30th, 2022.
Second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, so next order of business is a
You need public hearing.
continuation of public hearing, however,
The applicant has indicated that in light of the draft regulations that were submitted this afternoon by Bob Nowak, they would like the opportunity to review them and come back potentially with their thoughts as to whether that was feasible or not feasible. Again, at this point, you guys hadn't seen those because I didn't want to do ex-parte communications. I will get those out to you as well.
okay, good, I was gonna say, we can obviously,
Yeah, absolutely. But in
See
any
them
event,
chime in.
between 2 o'clock this afternoon and
Yeah,
6
no, of course.
they didn't have time to react.
no, no, I wouldn't have
So-
seen them, so.
At this point, they requested a continuance to May 5th, 2022, and because the hearing would need to be closed within 35 days from when you opened it, they've asked that there would be an extension on the deadline of the public hearing for the May 5th date. And I have emailed to that effect if you'd like to see it. I think it's in fact in front of you. So at this point, there's not much more to do other than to continue the public hearing to May 5th and grant the extension of time to keep the public hearing open.
Make a motion to do that?
Somebody should, yes,
Yes.
I can.
I make a motion to grant the extension and continue the public hearing for application 2022-2 to the May 5th meeting.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes, we'll continue that to May 5th.
How do we handle the text changes that I drafted up this?
So Eric said he's gonna send them to all of us.
Now we'll be.
He sent them to the applicant, and that's why they asked for the extension. We'll get them soon, he'll email them.
Yeah, I will get them out tomorrow morning, so you'll all be able to see them. You'll have a month at this point to mull them over, okay?
Yep.
So I took the opportunity and made copies and handed it to the
Oh,
members.
well, even better.
So it's in
Oh, that's here?
compile this stuff.
We will add this to the electronic file on our,
All right, that's what this was, right, Bob?
Is that this one?
That's that one with the 6.
okay.
Oh, sure.
Did you give a copy to me as well? If not, Bob, that's okay. I'll use the electronic version you sent. That's fine.
Do we have to formally submit it as an exhibit or anything?
Yeah, it's going to be an exhibit because it's
Yeah.
going to be part of the record, and that's okay. But we will market it, we will list it as an exhibit. It's on our website in the office there, we have a list of all the materials that were submitted as part of the application. This will be added to that website drive as part of that, okay?
Good.
Just quick, this design is yours as well?
No, that's the applicant's
Oh, this is
from a
the,
previous, he met with us in October.
yeah,
And gives context to what he's proposing
Okay.
in his submission back in October, I believe.
Okay.
So I just made a copy and handed out the new perspective.
okay,
Good, thanks, Bob. Thanks for that work.
all right.
Okay, so moving on, looks like we have nothing under old business, nothing other business, but then, so next, town planner's report?
Yeah, at this point, you don't have any applications for April 21st. So we may cancel that meeting, which is just as well since I will be out of state. So the next time you are scheduled to meet will be May 5th for a very busy meeting. That will be the continued public hearing for the text change. It will also be the affordability plan, which I will talk about in just a second here, okay? So 2 fairly sizable matters on for that evening at this point in time. But at this point, nothing to go forward with later this month, unless there's some pressing reason to meet. I will recommend just not having that meeting, okay?
I agree.
POCD review and discussion. Again, there was the meeting we had, I guess it was late last month. You did get the meeting minutes there where some of the issues that came out of that meeting were set forward. Consistent with that, I then drafted a new zone potentially and sent that around to people. As I said in my email when I sent the text out, I largely based the uses and what should be allowed there on either the B1 zone or the R40 zone. I tried to be as sort of flexible and permissive as possible. I don't claim to have a monopoly on wisdom for what should go there. So I just put it out there for general discussion purposes. And again, if you guys want to mull over what you think about it and see whether this is something you want to go forward with, that's certainly up to you. But where exactly on Route 80 it would be is some point we can figure out later. Whether this is the right combination of uses is something we can talk about. At the moment, obviously, there's no application pending on that, but at least I wanted to get the ball rolling with something that the commission could start thinking about. Any thoughts, comments?
I just have a comment on the workshop itself. I thought it was really good. I think it's kind of something that we've been kind of missing. We produce these great kind of conservation developments, and then we say and think we're going to do an act, but we just get caught up and busy. And I thought bringing the two commissions together was really, really good.
Yeah,
I thought there was great discussion and
a lot of great discussion, and again, the key is going to be keeping the momentum going from this, so that it doesn't sit for the next 3 months, and then we reappear in 3 months and say, gee, we didn't do anything. I don't want it to be just one more meeting where we kick around some good ideas. So again, that's why I sent around.
Yeah, no, good. And we scheduled out quarterly meetings moving forward, so to keep the momentum going. So I thought it was great. It was something that was always in the back of my mind. We should have, would have, could have, and I think we're finally doing it. So I think that was a good session. I appreciate it.
Good session. I think again, having EDC there was great. And again, as I think I mentioned then, as a planning and zoning commission, it's sort of easy to get hung up on the zoning application that's in front of you without sort of taking time to think about the big planning things. So setting aside these meetings and talk about the planning side of it is probably a useful exercise. So I think it went very well.
I agree.
Okay. That brings us to the probate. Where we are with the probate payment is this. At this point, as you are probably all aware, the town lost its appellate court case. What had to happen, and slowly we're working its way through the system, is the appellate court had to send it back to the trial court. The trial court is now sending it back to you with orders to approve the application. I, through our attorney, sort of reached out to the applicant to say, okay guys, is there any room to talk about landscaping? Do you want to make any possible small changes? Is there some room to play around with this, or are we just pretty much stuck approving whatever you guys approve? And the applicant's position was they don't want to take any chances reopening up for anything at all whatsoever. They want it to be as presented, approved, the end. So again, May 5th, they will be back with their last version of the plan as denied, and basically the court is ordering you to approve it. So there really is not much to do other than approve it. It will be a public meeting. The public will be welcome to attend, but it is not a public hearing. So the public is not going to have opportunity to comment. We're not going to reopen it for another X hours of discussion. Pretty much at this point, all we are able to do per the court order is approve the application as presented. So that's what we're going to get on May 5th. I figured out, again, I would just put it out there that this is coming, just because you may sort of hear about it, and you should know where things are going with that. Okay? Any questions about that at this point? Or? Okay. That's it.
Do we get to refresh on what it is and
I
read it, or is it?
I will make sure you have copies of it ahead of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay? Whatever the final version was, on the date that it was denied by the commission, and again, I know that this is a different collection of people than were here then, so it's not even refreshing. Some of these people, Chuck's never seen any of this stuff. When he gets here, it'll be the first time he's ever seen it. So I will make sure you guys have whatever the final version was that was denied by the commission, however many years ago that was at this point in time, well before I ever got here, obviously. So you will be able to look at it and review it. The one thing you will not be able to do is change it. It is what it is at this point in time. And again, my sort of reaching out to them to say, can we play around with it on the edges just to get it happier for everybody? I mean, my thought was, it's been however many years, they might want to have small changes that they might be interested in. The answer is, no way in hell. We're just taking what we're given and that's it, we're done. So that's where we are for May 5th, so.
So if we can't do anything, why are they even coming to us?
Well,
It
because.
has to be approved by law, right?
Yeah, but
We have to approve.
the end result is they need a planning and zoning commission approval, right? So
Yeah, but we have to approve it.
that's it, yes. So it has to come to you because it has to get a vote.
And my choice is approve it.
That, by court order, your choices are approve it, yes. But by state law, they can't proceed on their special permit without, or site plan, even site plan approval, that's where you guys got hung up. They can't proceed on their site plan without approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So they're coming back for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Okay? And again, not that you have a choice, the court is telling you, you must approve, but by state statute, they can't have an approved site plan without a commission decision. So you're gonna give them a decision, we're gonna publish the decision, and that's gonna be the end of it. So, again, not a lot to discuss, but by law, they have to get approval through the commission, so that's what they're coming back to do. Okay? And that's that. The only other matter I think we have on the agenda is your accessory apartment issue that's been kicking around for a couple meetings now, so he's back.
I'm back. All set? Moving up?
I think we're good. You're the last thing on the agenda, so,
Beautiful.
Is that,
no, this is,
I can recap.
yeah, why don't you bring everybody back up to speed as to where we are?
Absolutely.
well, hold on.
yes.
This is on the agenda.
Huh?
It's not on the agenda.
This is just part of my town planner's
Okay.
report, this is.
Just for clarity, I want to make sure.
No.
It's not- You said it's on the agenda.
But
It's not on the
it is
agenda.
not, because there is no motion to
Yeah.
make, there's no approval
Fine.
to give,
I don't need anything more than that.
okay?
I just,
All right, guys, good evening. My name is Ryan Pacey. I'm at 491 Tuckett Road in Norfolk. I came to you last meeting looking to put we'll call it an in-law apartment on top of a garage. Met with Eric maybe about a month or two ago, first just talking about it, and he informed me that it could be detached. So I said, we're gonna try to make it attached. So I came to the last meeting with plans, kind of a little scattered, but plans on how we could make this look like one conforming dwelling. In the rules, it said it has to have a shared ceiling and, or floor. So before I show you the plans, what I originally said is, hey, we're gonna have a house, a little bit of a hallway, and then we're gonna have this garage in-law on top. But I guess the word was, what was it?
In one building.
One building. So, without further ado, what I decided to do was I looked around a little bit of an example. So to kind of give you an idea, I live, if you're on Mill and you take a right and you go by the quarries on your left, you see the new developments. Sunwood had them. There's about six homes that were just recently built. So this home right here is my neighbor. Hopefully he's going to be moving in soon.
yeah.
Okay.
This is your neighbor across.
This is,
You're
nope,
across the street?
so if I'm looking at my front door, he is to my left. That's here. Yep. So basically I looked at his and you can see right in the middle there's a door, right? And I'm basically want to do that same concept. However, I want to take that middle part and extend it a little bit more. So the last thing, I'm sorry if I'm just kind of throwing a whole bunch of stuff at you guys, but
We're used to it.
all right, okay, good. Hope it's okay to share.
The pictures are recorded.
So pretty much the game plan is I know we didn't really want to make a hallway last time I was here, so we decided to create one. So if you look at the designs, these, I'll just come up here if that's okay. You can see this is the house right here. This is the mud room. Originally, the architect had it white out because he wanted to make it more of a hallway, which I didn't want. So we decided to make it more of a room that would bring you to the garage, and above would be the in-law.
So these are existing, this is not, this is.
Correct.
This is addition.
So you can kind of see it. I'll be honest with you, if he's not listening, it could have been a better job, but this
Can I
is.
ask you to talk up a little bit,
Yeah.
because we're trying to get on.
This is, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is my existing house. You can see it's got a little bit more detail right here. And then this would be the potential garage in-law. And in between, right here, is where the door would be. These drawings right here, this is inaccurate. This would obviously have to be a lot wider, right? So this window is this door coming up soon. So obviously, that's why I kind of put the arrows out. So right here as well, this would come out because this window becomes a door, but he made it narrow, but that wouldn't be the case. It'd be a lot wider to be a room. That's. And I know, like, I just don't want anyone to think that I'm in like a neighborhood with a bunch of raised ranches, like all over the place, like they're all the same. My neighbor, so building his house, it's gonna be right next to Farm River. And I guess he had a lot of issues being so close to the river that his house had to be pushed to the left. So he has a farmhouse, and then he has like a long barn on the side, almost like a sideways T, and that he's building in-law. So I don't want, something like this to feel like it's gonna interrupt the neighbors. It's gonna be like an eyesore. Like my father-in-law's in construction. They're planning on making it very beautiful, very not just kind of like just a park, just place right there. And that's about it.
So the question now becomes, is this sufficiently in one building that we think this matches what the regulations want for an accessory apartment?
And just to remind you guys, it would be on the same, we're on city water, it would be on the same water supply and electricity going through the main house.
Comments, questions?
What was the address of this area?
I'm not sure the address. I'm 491, so he's 496 or 5.
It's on the same side of the street.
Yeah.
These odd numbers, like your side of the street is all.
We're on the same. Yeah. So we're on the same side. I step out my door. He's to my right.
Is this the old Spazzano farm?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's,
Yeah.
I'm old, I need landmarks.
Yeah.
So the connector is misrepresented here, it's gonna be bigger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very thin, like a hallway, but we're gonna make it more like a room.
So the question is, do we consider this one building?
Yeah.
In the same building?
In the same building, is it
Part of the
attached,
same
is it attached? Again, the whole idea is to have the same roof, floor, walls, is it, yes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if he'd given me this to start with, I probably would have just signed it off on it.
Yeah.
Administrative.
But now that we're our third version of it here, I hadn't seen this until he brought it to you.
Yeah.
So, if you think this can get an administrative permit for an accessory apartment, I will happily do that. But as long as we're here tonight, I'm gonna get your sense as to where we want to go on this.
I think it went in the right direction, because again, what caught me in rereading the reg is, contained in one building, because again, we want it to look single family and not like it was multifamily. And this definitely moved in the right direction, especially it being wider than it is there. It definitely moved in the right direction to flow. Again, kind of like this, same concept, but it flows and looks like one building. So I think it went in the right direction.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think it may be something we want to take up in the future
Okay?
to think about, not related to this, but just because what we don't want, I'm not saying whatsoever this, but we also don't want to get in the situation where we're just creating silly things to marry up to. I'm not saying this.
No,
I'm
right,
saying,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
well, we don't want to create something where we're forcing people to get just kind of silly, you know, and
Right.
Okay.
where overall for the town, it doesn't really look good. You know, it's because of us, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's
I
hard
mean,
to
this-
put
this is
intention
fine.
in words, but
Yeah.
words count, so.
But I'm not referring directly to
No,
this.
no, no, I know, you're like 2x4, there's your
Yeah,
connector,
this is
right?
fine,
Yeah,
this
no,
is
I
good.
totally understand.
Thank you for,
You're welcome. Do you guys want to keep this, or is this for back to me?
There's no application pending, take it all back,
Okay, good.
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
And
Appreciate that.
It's worth $1,000.
It does help. Thank you to my neighbor who decided to do that plan.
Okay, so at this point, again,
When's it gonna break ground?
you're free to come in with your administrative permit.
Before
Okay?
So we
Everything is.
Did you hear that? Just for the record, it'd be an administrative thing between you and Eric, so you just come to the town hall and we'll do
Beautiful.
administrative.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm done, folks.
can we just go back, because there's such an echo in this room and the wind. From the special meeting, you said you created a new zone, did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I thought I emailed around to everybody the draft Foxton Neighborhood District, is I think what I called it.
Okay.
And a Foxton Neighborhood District would be designed to be along portions of Route 80, probably sewered portions of Route 80. And it would be designed to have residential components going up to 2-family, maybe a little bit more, depending on what you think. Mixed uses where you would have commercial on the bottom, residential up top. A fairly wide range of commercial uses, but no industrial type uses. So for instance, I think B1 allows self-storage. I didn't allow self-storage in this. I don't think that's really what you want there, you can avoid. So again, I went through and I sort of picked what I thought were the right levels of approval for each of these, things along this corridor, just to get the ball rolling. I don't claim that my answers are uniquely the right answers, but again, this is just a place to start.
Yeah.
And again, the things that you will need to figure out are the uses you want in the zone, if you want the zone at all, and how far along Route 80 you would like this to extend. And again, the example I used before is like Judy's restaurant is in R40 residential right now. So if it ever closes, there's nothing else that can go there except a restaurant or house. So the goal is to try and make it more flexible.
What accelerated us to this concept was, Eric said, like Westbrook has something like this. Other towns have a similar thing. So is it downtown Westbrook, if you know
Well,
that?
is that in the very center of Westbrook, there's what's called the CTC zone, Commercial Town Center. I didn't propose that because
Yeah.
that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
But if you go on either side of the center of Westbrook, it's along Route 1, extending toward Old Saybrook and extending toward Clinton. The only areas that are sort of not contained in it are Water's Edge, which has its very own zone, and the Marina District, which has its very own zone. But the rest of Route 1, more or less, is this zone. And it's not precisely this zone. I took
Yeah.
many of the uses, again, trying to be flexible along areas where flexibility is sort of more beneficial. And a lot of the more intensive uses would be by special permit, so that they would still need to come back and you could say, well, I know it's allowed in the zone generally, but this isn't really where we want that use specifically. So maybe down the road, but not here. So again, it's a starting place for discussion on a zone of this sort.
Generally, the consensus of that committee, that EDC and P&Z were generally in favor, right? I think the consensus was about, right? Everyone was liked the concept, at least to explore the concept of doing this.
Right,
It
exactly.
would help, I mean, from an EDC standpoint, it helped.
Yeah, and again,
It would create more opportunities than we have now, clearly.
this was sent to EDC as well for their kicking around as well. Obviously, they don't have a role in approving it necessarily, but the more buy-in you can get from other agencies, the better off you're going to likely be to just get something like this adopted. Because this is a fairly dramatic change. You haven't adopted a new zone like this, and obviously you have the multifamily housing zone, but that's for a very specific use in very specific locations. This would be a much more broad category along a fairly wide piece of heavily traveled town. So it's gonna need to sort of go through the various people around town and make sure everybody is on board with the idea before you just rezone R80 to something else.
Would it be possible to resend that back out in an email again?
Absolutely, I will get it out in the morning,
I did
okay?
receive the Westport one. I thought that was the one that we were talking about as an example to
Yeah, what I thought I did, I sent that, but then I also sent the other one. I will resend it out in the morning, just to make sure everybody has it. And again, there's no deadline on it, but it is sort of something that you guys can pick back up and work on as you get the chance to work on it, okay?
One of the other items on our to-do list is the affordable housing plan. So take some time to look through that.
Yeah, that's
They
green.
do have suggested in that affordable housing plan to take all of Route 80 and have a zone for,
Well,
or a good
not-
portion of it from around Dewey.
Pieces of it, but yes.
Pieces of it, right, on the east and west of, center of St. McDonald's. And then also down 139 is another kind of zone they want to create that would be allowable or something like that.
Yeah, it's not even,
Flexible.
it's not even that they would create new zones for there. They would really be saying that if you are trying to encourage affordable housing in certain parts of town, these are the parts of town we would encourage it to be in. Because it has the level of infrastructure where it would be best supported, and being along Route 80, it's most likely to be for people who are limited in their transport options. Obviously, putting it along Pawtucket is going to be the wrong place to put it, because the people you're looking to put into this housing are likely to have a hard time on Pawtucket getting to where they need to go. It's not walkable to anything. It's hard to get there by mass transit. Obviously, all the entire town is hard to get to by mass transit. So the goal is to put it in locations where the infrastructure is in place to allow it to happen most easily. So you're not likely to get a new affordable housing zone, but if you can create incentives in certain places in town, this is where it's suggesting you create the incentives. Okay? Does that help at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very in-depth, to say the
Yeah,
least.
I looked
and
through it today.
We're gonna need some time
Tons
to
of numbers.
read through it and absorb it and
Yep.
make sense of it all.
Okay. Anything else? That's it?
I'm good.
Would it be any benefit to kind of highlight some of the text amendment changes at this point in time on any of the, or let everyone look at it?
It's up to you, Bob. I mean, I didn't come prepared to talk about it.
Are we allowed to?
That
That would be my only question. Legally?
Well, no, yeah, on the agenda, it says affordable housing, right? I mean, it's part of your agenda for the planner's report. So if you want to talk about it under the affordable housing,
But I have to
Under the
you're
text
making-
amendment.
You're talking the other one.
He's talking the multifamily
Fix it.
housing district.
multifamily housing district, I wouldn't talk about the multifamily
No.
housing district, no. At this point, multifamily housing district, you tabled until May 5th. I would not go back and deal with that right now, no.
Okay.
I mean, specifically, their attorney said, someone's gonna be there unless you promise me you're not gonna talk about it. So I don't wanna like have.
Yeah, we have to have
yeah,
integrity and
So,
No.
blah, 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 and fake.
We can take some time to digest it anyway. All right. I don't,
What?
that's it, right?
Is this a record?
Nothing
I don't
else?
think this is a record, but this might be a record.
not a record, but it's 7:14. If you wanna make a motion to adjourn, I have nothing else.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else?
I wish we adjourned.
I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Why is this not a record?
I think we've done it in a half hour.
Oh, okay.